the many energies of your world. Breathe in and breathe out. Calm, quiet. Oh yeah, there you go. Settle in and spend these moments within your body temple. And let me guide you in with a few breaks, and I will also usher you out. Breathing in, finding the stillness. The breath of God is breathing you. You're breathing in the breath of God. You know that all is well in your body temple, right here and right now. No opinions, no comparisons, no critique. Just breathe in the wonders of your body temple. Breathing in slowly and softly and wonderfully. And the love of God is breathing you. You're breathing in the love of God. You know that all is well in your body temple, right here, right now. No opinions, no stories of not good enough, no wishing for different. There is only love for this body temple because it was created for you to be you in the life that is God. Breathing in. The love of God. What wonderful stillness. The love of God. And the joy of God is breathing you. You're breathing in the joy of God. You know that all is well in your body temple right here and right now. Joy fills your heart. Smiles and laughter come from within you. This body temple wants to sing and shout for joy. So sit with that. Sit with that breath, that love, that joy. And so now, fill yourself with all that you experienced within your time, within your body temple. Slowly and sweetly bring your awareness back to all that surrounds you, all that is your life, all that is your life in God here, right now. What a gift it is to remember that the body is also spirit, created by the divine. Luxuriate in the connection that you can feel through that. And as you open to the rest of this, I invite you to join my heart in prayer as I speak my word. Opening my heart with love and joy for this time together. I return always to the truth, knowing that God is the divine one, the infinite supply of all life. All that is seen and unseen is, has been, and always will be the opportunity for the divine to express itself. The love of that energy I call God is the essence of all that has ever been. All good, all God, all love. God is the oneness within everything. And me as Jan, an expression of my Creator, that is who I am. And as that is the truth for me, I claim and know that that is the truth for all. And we are created to express this oneness that is God right here and right now. Gratitude fills me up as I know the truth of oneness. I open myself today to Reverend Kevin's message, secure as I speak my word into the law of love, that God is operating, guiding, sourcing, and supporting each and every body temple with a joyful, heartfelt yes. And so that is now and forever. Thank you.
Oh, Jan, thank you. Wow, there is nothing like being centered in the Spirit. Very good. And to remind us that our body is that dwelling place of Spirit. Wonderful. Well, good morning, all. And it is, of course, time for a few of our announcements. And so we like to remind you also that on Mondays at 9 a.m. you can join Reverend Sunshine for a spiritual remedy. And that is on Vida SLC Facebook Live. All right. And also, our CSL's Teen Summer Camp is coming up, and you'll notice on the registration there that tomorrow is the final day for registration. So if you're going to be sending a teen to summer camp, then you must do so by tomorrow, and you can visit csl.org/teencamp for more information. And you can also ask about scholarship opportunities at the same time. And so this is going to be in person this year, and it's going to be at Camp Cedar Ridge in Vernonia, Oregon, and that will take place on July 6th through the 13th, and the cost is $525. All right, so we just encourage you to take that opportunity for any teens that you have available. All right, so we also like to give thanks for those who serve us so well here at Vida, and of course a warm thanks to Jan Hartman, our practitioner of the day. We're so blessed to have you with us. And we also look forward to Reverend Kevin's message this morning. We, as usual, I'm sure we'll be treated to an inspiring message. And we also like to give thanks to our live stream moderators. Those are the folks who are on YouTube and on Facebook Live, just keeping watch over what's happening there. We also recognize every week our leadership council. These are what I like to think of as the behind the curtain folks who are kind of making everything happen, keeping the business of the center going and watching over all of that part of it. And also our technical team, and we have, Rev Kev has set up a lot of stuff, and we now have Barry with us, who's going to be taking over some of those technical behind the scenes things. And we also just like to give thanks to all of you for joining us, because you are the reason why we do all of this. And so we just acknowledge you in that way. And as we talk about spiritual practices, one other spiritual practice is this idea of giving as a spiritual practice. And we have several ways in which you can join us in supporting our work here at Vida. One of them is you can send your gift to our physical address, which is 1524 East Hellman Street, Long Beach, California, 90813. Another alternative is to use your bill pay service through your bank. You can also donate via the buttons, which are in the chat and on our website for credit card and debit donations. And then if you're one of those who has the Zelle app, you can also use Zelle to contribute to us, and that's by just sending to this email address, and that is vida@vidaslc.org. So we just encourage you to take advantage of any of those opportunities. And as we talk about this giving as a spiritual practice, we have an affirmation that we like to say, and we like to say this together, both in English and in Spanish, whatever is appropriate for you. And so we invite you to unmute, and let's all say this affirmation together. Ready? Here we go. Abundance flows in my life. I am blessed with prosperity. I give with generosity. Yes. I tithe on faith, belief, and with a consciousness of love. My gift is the divine circulation through me that now benefits and grows our spiritual community and beyond. And now it is. All right. So as we prepare for the message this morning, invite you to mute yourselves and to sing along with In the Spirit.
I'm walking in the Spirit, walking in the Spirit, walking in the Spirit of one God, loving in the Spirit, loving in the Spirit, loving in the Spirit of one God, moving in the Spirit. Oh, I'm moving. I'm moving. In the Spirit. Oh, the Spirit. The Spirit. Oh, God. Growing in the Spirit.
Well, hello and welcome to our weekly celebration of Living Spirit at Vida Spiritual Learning Center. I am delighted to be with you today, and I'll get right to our message for today. As we are following the Centers for Spiritual Living themes, the theme for the entire year of 2022 is Living Everyday Wonder. And the theme for the month of June, which we begin today, is Body. And the title for today, for June 5th, is Welcome to the Temple. And I know that some of you like to read as a spiritual practice, and Centers for Spiritual Living includes books in their annual themes. And the book for the entire year of 2022 is called Ordinary Wonder by Charlotte Joko Beck. And the book for the month of June is called The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. So I'll begin today's message with an affirmation. And the affirmation is, my body is the house of the divine. My body is the house of the divine. Now, as an emerging metaphysician, there can be some confusion about your body, its role in your spiritual healing and growth. Some, reject any metaphysical relevancy of the body. That was me in A Course in Miracles. Some wonder whether anything about your body even correlates to metaphysics, let alone whether your body acts as an effect or a cause, or whether the body advances the soul through this plane of expression and experience at all. And to some degree, everyone looks in the mirror and has some observation, we'll call it, maybe some judgment, maybe a disagreement about what one sees. And for me, I once had, hair on my head. And I look around and most humans have hair on their heads. What's that about? Is there anything to this? What lessons am I learning concerning the presence or absence of hair on my head? Or in this case, presence and then absence of hair on my head. And what am I learning about my mind, this soul that I am advancing, and my body based on this observation that I'm having about the hair or lack thereof on my head? So for some, the confusion, the questions go a lot deeper and a lot more profound. Hair on my head or not that big a deal. But some are more troubled deeper in their psyche. And it might bring up questions, more existential questions about being in a human phase at all, or being in a human phase but with a body that appears to be disconnected from the mental equivalent that one is carrying. Or maybe the body is disconnected from the very essence of being. So some even ask, what kind of a God would create, challenge around physical body if we're supposed to be on this spiritual journey? So I just want to say this first as a kind of a disclaimer. I and this teaching and our Vida Spiritual Learning community genuinely care about everyone, right? I intend through my message and through my service to our community to foster and facilitate healing whenever and however. And we're open to the most effective means and methods. Healing happens through both the physical and the metaphysical. And as we say at our teaching, we take the prayer and we take the pill, right? So I say this so that you know the compassion I have for challenges that arise based around the body. Now, the Science of Mind and Spirit talks about this human phase as being part of a divine pattern. Sometimes I call it a organizing principle. Your being here in this body at this time, whether or not you're conscious of it, is for the highest and greatest form and function. It is to advance your purpose. That purpose is to heal and grow in consciousness, which means through this incarnation, you grow in compassion, in creativity, in intelligence, in connection and circulation. You grow in intuition and love, whether you're conscious of it or not. And from a biological or anthropological point of view, humans don't have a similar or the same constructive role to play on Earth the way other life forms appear to. And therefore, one can conclude if there is a positive constructive reason or purpose for humans, it is to grow consciousness. It is for you to circulate more compassion and love. It is for you to live spirit as spirit is living you. I've been in a mentality that because of the challenges I was facing and the pain I was feeling, that this idea seemed a little cold or dismissive. At one point or another, probably I bristled at this idea. And that I wasn't really feeling anything like that there was a high purpose for me being here or any of the other niceties, I will say, that go with it. And this was and is intended, my message, this idea, this concept, and this teaching is meant to be helpful. Hearing or reading these ideals, these lofty ideas at times when I was really feeling that pain, it didn't connect consciously, but it did plant a seed in my consciousness. And so hopefully, to continue with these lofty ideas, I'm at least planting that seed in your consciousness. Now, one of the other lofty ideas that comes up around body is the kind of theology, the worldview of the science of mind teaching. And it's a big, long, fancy word called panentheism. And that also means that, to boil it all down, that your body is all part of God. So panentheism really is an interesting thing. It's not to be confused with pantheism, which states that God is synonymous with the nature or the universe. But as many Hindu stories convey, panentheism means there is a power and a presence that transcends even pantheism, and it actually includes pantheism. And pantheism is a term coined in the early 1800s by European philosophers, and it was kind of a condensation of Hindu theology. Panentheism is the belief that the divine intersects every part of the universe and also extends beyond that universe, beyond space and time. That the divine creates out of its self-giving nature, and its creation does not consume or diminish the divine, but it serves to extend and expand and grow the divine. Perhaps think of living spirit being a creator not just of the universe, but of multiverses, right? God is this supreme connecting, creating force behind and through all of it. And your spiritual growth contributes to the whole of spiritual growth. So you and I, as our consciousness grows, we're actually growing this great God of that is described in panentheism. And so right here and right now, being in this frequency, amplitude, and phase, as you are, means that living spirit conceived you, is in you, is as you, is surrounding you. And this iteration of you is the best way for your essence, which is pure spirit, to expand and extend God through this plane of human experience. Now, living spirit is both ethereal and material, right? Its creation is ethereal, For you and I, that means the realm of feelings and intuitions and conscious thoughts and unconscious thoughts, also known as beliefs. And living spirit is a creation of the material, the realm of matter, of stuff, of body, of the five sensory world and the emotional experience. So some of the best ideas about physics mirror what appears to be so about metaphysics. So please don't take this to mean that your affirmations are able to collapse a physics possibility wave the same way quantum theory posits that possibility wave collapse to form something slower and denser like a subatomic particle. Now, physics and metaphysics are at best analogs. They are something like each other, based on our current thinking and models. So in the same way, like a spring behaves like an inductor in an electrical circuit, or an enclosure behaves like a capacitor in an electrical circuit, metaphysics behave a lot like physics, but aren't physics directly. Now, metaphysics compares the human body to a temple, thus our talk, Welcome to the Temple today. And it is often referred to as the body temple, right? Now, a temple is that building devoted to the worship of God, or regarded as the dwelling place of God, or devoted to the objects of religious reverence, right? And I at first thought this was kind of airy-fairy. As I began to understand my body to be something like a body temple, I became aware of ways I was not treating my body with much reverence, right? I discovered ways I was disconnecting from or disassociating my body as a dwelling place for God. And as my earlier question about my hair reveals, I was at some points at odds with my body. And I think my experience is similar to a lot of folks. Now, it's consistent with the science of mind to regard your physical body as a dwelling place of God. Now, the important distinction that the science of mind makes is that your body is not the only dwelling place. It's not only, the dwelling place of God. It is the dwelling place of the God of your understanding. And as I began to understand this, I can say that, the healing of all of the challenges I have around my body and the body temple, all of those weird ideas and false beliefs about my body, I am well on my way to healing those. It's an ongoing process. And the good news is that you can heal any of those false beliefs or ideas you have around your body as well. How do you do that? Well, one way through is a dedicated and consistent spiritual practice. And with healing, and in particular healing your beliefs about your body, as I often say, just a few minutes each day can work wonders. So what I suggest is that you include your body temple in both the content of your spiritual practices, but also begin to add some physicality to your spiritual practices. For example, learn, you meditate each day, yes? Learn a walking or a moving kind of meditation. You treat or affirm or pray every day. So you can add some kinesthetics to your affirmation process or your prayer process. You might refer to the brain gym. As an example, I didn't say that right. You might refer to brain gym for the kinds of body motions you can associate to really amplify your affirmation. Every day when I'm brushing my teeth, I give my body, and especially my gums and my teeth and my mouth and my tongue, I give them a little boost. I give them a little cheer, because I am aligning with, being in concert with the natural tendency of that part of my body to be in perfect health. And so I urge it on to be that perfect expression every day when I'm brushing my teeth. So that's another way to turn an everyday activity like affirmation to associate it with something that you're doing every day. And if you like to study or read, you might study the mind-soul-body integration or connection. You might journal about your body as a temple for your Most High God. You might include your body temple envisioning. You might ask the question, what is the divine high idea for my body temple? When you're in sacred service, you might do some sacred service with healers. You might volunteer at a hospital or a clinic so that you can be in the midst of a healing process on that level. In your practitioner sessions, you might regularly devote some or part of all of your sessions to your body temple. You might look at where you tithe and tithe to what feeds you mind, soul, and body. And in the beloved community, be that welcoming presence to all beings. And as I mentioned, life forms on Earth, including human beings, are wonderfully and fantastically complex. And the life forms are all interconnected and interrelated. I often stand in awe of the infinite intelligence behind all of these different life forms, right? Just take human beings as an example, that we are a collection of organs that are made of tissues that are comprised of cells that are formed from compounds that are made of molecules, which are an arrangement of atoms comprised of particles that derive from possibilities. So there's that term in particle physics. And this is where the analog comes back in, right? In particle physics, bosons are those things that mediate state changes, right? And in metaphysics, consciousness mediates possibility. Metaphysical possibilities are a facet of God, of the infinite creative, of the universal. So we say in God all things are possible. Well, it is those possibilities that your consciousness is mediating. So you often hear that you and I are, and really all matter on Earth, are made from stardust. And according to our current best understanding, that's probably true. But how does stardust get to be stardust before it gets to be you and I? So I follow the chain back the other way. The material, we talked about the ethereal and the material, matter derives from a possibility wave, right? And that possibility wave collapses, it coalesces, it slows down, meaning the frequency changes, it bundles together, the wave bundles together as it collapses, so that's the amplitude of it. And it does this for a while, it's not forever. And when that possibility wave collapses, it collapses into a particle. And those particles then organize and they gather together and form atoms. And the atoms then bind together to form molecules that form compounds, that form cells, that make tissues, that create organs, that create a life form together. So that is looking at the possibility wave to the material being that is your body. So your body is the ongoing complex collapse and converging and diverging of nearly an infinitesimal number of possibility waves. So that's what's happening, we think, in the material realm. But your consciousness is also an ongoing complex collapse of converging and diverging and nearly infinitesimal number of God possibility waves. So not the same thing, they are analogs, but they appear very similar. So although God's grand divine pattern is constant, the divine pattern local to you changes as your consciousness evolves, right? As your consciousness heals and grows, so does your body temple heal and grow. So, imagine the human natural life cycle mirroring the ongoing evolution of your soul, going from birth to maturity to adulthood to old age, to that moment when this body disorganizes. Now, the body only appears to disorganize from an earthly point of view. Metaphysically, this particular aspect of God that you evolve now expands beyond the body, so that God's compassion and love can expand in the next phase of a soul's evolution. May not be yours anymore, may not be associated with you anymore, but you have moved that soul along. You have expanded and extended living spirit. And in Science of Mind and Spirit, heaven is not a location in the afterlife. Heaven is a state of consciousness. It's an inner state of happiness, as Ernest Holmes would call it. And the more frequently you cultivate and live God's indwelling good, the more you are in heaven, or at least a conscious state of heaven. And therefore, the most powerful intersection of all possibility waves is that heaven and earth intersect right where you are right now. The matter that is your body is always changing on some level. Simply by breathing through respiration, your body is atomically different now than it was one breath ago. And therefore, your body is constantly changing because your conscious use of spirit within you positions you closer to that intersection of heaven and earth. So let's turn together in prayer. And just resting and calling to mind the power and presence of living spirit, that infinite intelligence, that creative beyond creating, that compassion that exceeds all understanding. Just knowing that is where and who and how God is. I know God to be everywhere and within. And therefore I know God is within me and surrounds me. And what is true for me is true for all beings everywhere. That you and I are that extension, that emanation, that meditation in the mind of God. That we are imbued and indwelled and surrounded by all that God stuff, all that good stuff. So I speak my word knowing that we consciously are in concert, are in accord with our body temples. That we affirm the godness and the goodness of our body temple right here and right now, as it is in this moment, knowing that it is part of the way and the means of advancing our souls, and therefore advancing living spirit. I speak my word that my body is a temple of the Most High God. I declare that the sensations within me are living spirit alive in me. I acknowledge and appreciate that other life forms are imbued and surrounded by this same living spirit. And I recognize them and I bless them on their journey. And as my feelings are that direct expression and experience of universal love, I consciously choose to circulate that goodness, that godness, and I do so for my highest good and for the highest good for all those my life touches. So I include in our prayer today our friends and family. I include in our prayer everyone on all those walks of life, and in fact all of those forms of life are all part of this loving, living spirit, and therefore I include them in our compassionate expression today. So I bless the world as I am blessed, giving great thanks for this answered prayer, for this communion in spirit, and I simply allow it to be. I know that presence of spirit, that elevation of the body to the temple of the Most High, that's happening right now for you and for me. And now it is. Amen. Well, thank you very much